Hey, check this out. This is the latest battery from DJI. It's what you're going to find if you get the new Osmo Action 5 Pro. And the cool thing about this battery here is you can put it in the Osmo Action 4 and the Osmo Action 3, which is pretty awesome. It has 1950 mega amp hours of battery life, and DJI claims that with this battery in this camera, the Osmo Action 5 Pro, you can get up to 4 hours of recording time, which sounds extraordinary. But hang on just 1 minute. If you look at the small print there, you're going to see how it says there's quite a few conditions involved. When they got those amazing figures, they were recording at 1080p at 24 frames per second, and they were filming it in a controlled temperature environment of a lovely 25 degrees. They had Rocksteady on, they had Wi-Fi off, and they had the front and back screens off. So I don't know about you, but I never ever film with my Osmo Action 5 Pro at those settings. I'm always going to choose 4K for its high resolution, and I'm going to choose 30 frames per second, which is one of the most widely used frame rates in the world. Like a lot of TV shows and your sports broadcasts are done in 30 frames per second. So when I hear those figures from DJI, I take them with a grain of salt, like a really small grain of salt. So in this video, what I want to do is I want to put this camera with this battery in some real life conditions and really put this camera and this battery to the test. Pretty excited about checking out the qualities of this battery and see if it does live up to the hype. DJI has made a great product with this Osmo Action 5 Pro, but battery life is a super important thing to consider when it does come to purchasing an action camera. So today's test will hopefully prove that this camera is worthy of all its praise. And the battery reads at 97%, so it's almost a full battery. All right, so what we've done here is we've now attached the DJI Osmo Action 5 Pro to the windshield. Okay, it's a little bit crooked, I'll fix it up in a second, and we're going to test it out on this drive up to out to the country here in South Australia.
Leaving the city, we hit the freeway heading north. A short time later, we were on a country highway traveling through bone-dry stretches of farmland, with the Osmo Action 5 Pro capturing it all in fine detail. Even though it was attached to the windshield and it was a hot day, the Osmo Action didn't show any sign of overheating. A common problem for action cameras.
All right, so we're just taking a bit of a quick stop right now. We're in a little small town called Tarlee here in South Australia, and I'm just going to show you how much footage we've recorded. So we have a look here at the back of the camera. We've actually recorded 39. Look back of the camera, you can see we've actually recorded 39 minutes already. So we're just going to pause that for a second. Have a look at the top right-hand corner. It says we have about more than 70% left, which is actually pretty good. Like I said, quick break, then we're back on the road and we're going to try doing some filming with Hyperlapse and see if that affects the battery life as well.
Hyperlapse is one of my favorite filming options on the Osmo Action 5 Pro. It's the perfect way to speed up the boring bits of life, and it can make your vision look more interesting and even more exciting. It does affect your battery life though, as it requires more processing than regular video, and even more than when you're filming a time lapse. This is because the Osmo Action 5 Pro, using the Hyperlapse setting, requires power to stabilize any camera movement as it tracks the scene. If you're interested in learning more about Hyperlapse on the Osmo Action 5 Pro, I've actually made a video about it. I'll include a link to that video in the description down below.
All right, so we just finished filming for just over an hour that time lapse that went for only about 6 minutes. But if you have a look here at the battery life, we have still got 39% of the battery left, which is pretty extraordinary. So we're currently in a little small town called Burra right now, which is in like about an hour and a half north of Adelaide. And to actually be able to do that first video and now the hyperlapse and still have 39% of battery life left is actually pretty decent. All right, so we're just outside of Burra here in South Australia, and behind me is a rather famous, like, local landmark, I guess you call it. It's the Farmhouse, which is featured on the cover of Midnight Oil's 1987 fantastic album called Diesel and Dust. The photograph on the cover was shot by an awesome photographer called Ken Duncan. Anyway, so we're out here observing that, and it's quite a scene, especially this time of day, like middle of the afternoon. Looks pretty damn amazing. We're actually come out here to film this place here, the Midnight Oil House, on the cover of Diesel and Dust, which is pretty awesome. But check this out over here. It's like a whirly, which is like a Australian term for like a bit of a mini tornado, I guess you'd call it.
Whirly-whirlies occur when a pocket of hot air quickly rises up through cooler air, creating these unique-looking spinning columns which draw up dust and dirt and sand from the ground.
Being outside here in the countryside in Australia in summer, one thing we do a lot of, if you're not aware, is what's called the Australian salute. And the Australian salute involves doing that to wipe away the bloody flies, because they are an absolute pain in the neck. Okay, well, we just left the Midnight Oil House, the farmhouse just outside of Burra. The battery life is currently about 37%, which is pretty extraordinary. So now we're going to cruise on back to Adelaide, around about 1.5 to 2 hours away.
The Osmo Action 5 Pro has two options for hyperlapse: 25 frames per second or 30 frames per second. 25 frames per second is the standard TV video frame rate used in Australia and Europe and many other countries. 30 frames per second is the TV video standard used in North America, like US, Canada, and Mexico. Shooting at a lower frame rate, like 25 frames per second, makes your footage look more cinematic, and it adds a feature called motion blur to your footage. The lower frame rate also helps to conserve battery life, as the camera's display and processor don't need to work quite as hard as they do at the higher frame rate setting. Other factors like screen brightness and whether you decide to leave the rear screen on when you're recording can also have an impact on your battery life.
Okay, so we've just been filming for around about 50 minutes on our drive from just outside of Burra to here in Eudunda, and we currently have 6% battery left. That is a pretty decent effort. I'm pretty impressed with how long the battery's been able to last. The camera is actually staying, it's kind of warm, but it's not like overheating or anything, and to the point where it's shutting down. So it's done a rather marvelous job. So not much left, but still, it's probably been filming for at least 3 hours today on a hot day, 39 degrees outside, and so it's a pretty impressive performance. All right, this is rather unusual. It is like 39 degrees, nearly 40 degrees here, which is over 100 in Fahrenheit, and it's actually raining on me. It's like there's a cloud where the rain is, I'm not sure if you can see this, there's actually rain coming down here. All right, can you see that rain? And I don't know what is happening, because as you can see, it's blazing hot. I feel like there was a song by a Scottish band called Travis called Why Does It Always Rain on Me? And that's what I feel like is happening right now.
It's like just this little patch of earth here in Eudunda has got rain, and I'm copping it. How strange is that? How strange is that? That is so crazy. Look, see the rain? I'm not going nuts, right? Eudunda is a town that's a little bit famous around here as the hometown of a very famous Australian writer called Colin Thiele, or Colin Thiele. Colin wrote many books, but two of them were favourites from when I was a kid. One was called Storm Boy, featuring a pelican called Mr. Percival, who I loved, and Fingerbone Bill. And another one was called Bluefin, that was set on a tuna boat in the Spencer Gulf. Great writer, great Australian writer, and these painted silos that we see behind are actually a bit of a tribute to Colin. As like I said, this is his hometown here in Eudunda in South Australia.
One of the great things about the Osmo Action 5 Pro is how fast you can recharge your battery if it does go flat. So if you look here, my battery is completely dead right now. See that little like red light flashed up, or that little red icon flashed up? So there's absolutely nothing in this battery. So I've kind of fully used it. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to charge it up right now. I'm going to show you how quick it will, how fast it will do the recharge of your battery. So I'm just plugging it into a power source right now. Now what's happened is with the battery, you can actually charge up a lot of its battery life in only a matter of like 15 minutes or so. That's what has been touted, and there it goes. It's come back on right now. So the time right now, we're going to set the timer, and it's currently 0%, as you can see on the battery. Right, so there's absolutely nothing left in that battery. By the way, in case you're wondering about the frame I'm using right now, this is a product from Thiele. It's a great little camera frame that you can use for your, or camera cage, they actually call it, for your Osmo Action 5 Pro. And it actually has a little provision here on the end for like a 3.5mm screw, so you want to put it onto a regular tripod. And it's also magnetic here on the bottom part too, which means it makes it easy if you want to shoot vertical video. Okay, so it's only been on a couple of seconds. You can already see it's already jumped up to 2%. I've now set the timer on 15 minutes on my watch. Okay, so we have a look at my watch. You can see it's got 15 minutes. It's counting down. Let's kind of see how much of this battery is charged up in that space of time. Okay. Just over 15 minutes down, and you can see we've got 68% of the battery has been charged, which is pretty extraordinary. So that's one awesome feature about this camera. If you're in a spot where you like run out of battery, you just know that it won't take too long to get it up to almost like 3/4 of the battery life, or more than 2/3 of the battery life in only 15 minutes. So another really great accessory you might want to consider including in your kit bag is the Osmo Action multi-function battery case. And this is really cool because this one here, you can actually open it up and you can actually fit 3 of your Osmo Action batteries in here. Now the cool thing is these batteries are backwards compatible, not just with the Osmo Action 5 Pro, you can also use them in the Osmo Action 3 and the Osmo Action 4, which is fantastic. And these ones have more battery life than those older batteries as well. So here, once you open it or when you look at it, you can press this button here on the front. Press the button on the front and it's going to tell you the status. So this one here is green, that means it's got plenty of battery life. This one here needs a little bit of work on it. Now let's have a bit of a look when we open it up. As I said, you can fit 3 batteries in here, so you can charge them. And one thing that's really cool is there's even provision for your SD cards. You can slot 2 little SD cards into the little holders here at the back of the unit. I'm sure you can see that there, okay? So you just got to slide them in and then they are firmly held. I have a habit of losing or misplacing SD cards, which is not a great thing. So this is a really good feature. Now, another thing is if you want, when it comes to charging, there is a USB-C charge port here on the end.
But another really cool thing is you can actually use this battery pack as a battery charging pack, say for your mobile phone or your other accessories as well. And this comes at around about $100 here in Australia, but I reckon it's actually well worth the price of purchase. That's the multifunction battery case from DJI.
But we really punished this battery in this camera today. I think you'll agree, we used different camera modes, we had video, we had hyperlapse, and I can tell you that unlike the DJI's test that we spoke about at the start of this video, it definitely was not 25 degrees today when we were doing our little test. On the screen right now, I'm going to show you the exact amount of time that we got out of this battery using in those different kind of modes, and I think you'll agree it's actually done rather well. But great battery life isn't the only cool thing about this Osmo Action 5 Pro. It's got a ton of other great features as well, and one of them is time lapse. And to learn how to do that, you want to click on this video now.